Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Another video with Mr. Wael Abdurrahman. Kindly, before we start, like, subscribe, share, comment, and turn on notifications. Let's start. Okay, so what do we have today? Today we will answer together the latest EST test, June 2022, Literacy Test 2, the reading section. Okay, so the first passage, the literary narrative passage. طيب, do you remember? كنت عملت في فيديو قبل كده how to answer a literary narrative passage. بسرعة كده ناخد steps. Okay. Set a task. اعمل لك task while reading. بسرعة. 1. بندور على ايه؟ Look for the setting, the characters, the relationship between the characters. مين علاقتهم ببعض. And the attitude of each character and any change in attitude. Okay. So let's read the blurb. So the following edited passage is an excerpt from Vanity Fair by William Makepeace, Thackeray, on Joe Sadler's attempt to court Rebecca. We have here two characters, مالش كتير, but we have Joe, so this is the first character, and we have Rebecca. Okay. Poor Joe's panic lasted for 2 or 3 days, during which he did not visit the house, nor during that period did Miss Rebecca ever mention his name. So nothing, we have Joe, so we have again Joe, he was panicked, we don't know why, he didn't visit that house, okay, and also Miss Rebecca. Okay, so Joe and Rebecca. مش عارفين طبعا يقربوا لبعض ايه لسه. She was all respectful gratitude to Mrs. Sedley. طيب, Mrs. Sedley, delighted beyond measure at the bazaars and in a whirl of wonder at the theater, whither the good-natured lady took her. So تعرفنا هنا على Mrs. Sedley. She took Rebecca to some theaters. Okay. One day, Amelia, so another character, had a headache and could not go upon some social gatherings to which the two young people, were invited. تعرفنا على شخصية تانية, Amelia, two young ladies. I think هو بيتكلم هنا على Amelia and Rebecca. But this is Amelia and the other one is Rebecca. Were invited, so كانوا رايحين gathering, فما راحتش كانت تعبانة. Nothing could induce her friend to go without her. What? You who have shown the poor orphan what happiness and love are for the first time in her life. Could you? Never. And the green eyes looked up to heaven and filled with tears. And Mrs. Sedley could not but own that her daughter's friend had a charming kind of heart of her own. So we knew here a relationship between العلاقات. So Mrs. Sedley, this is Amelia's mother, يبقى this is the mother, يبقى Sedley دي المother بتاعت Amelia, وإيميليا وريبيكا they are friends. كده وجبنا العلاقات. نركز دايما على البارت ده عشان تفهم الأحداث ماشية ازاي. As for Mrs. Sedley's joke, Rebecca laughed at them with a cordiality and perseverance which not a little pleased and softened that good-natured gentleman. So the jokes that Miss Sedley, Rebecca laughed with cordiality like friendly, تضحك بطريقة friendly. Nor was it with the chiefs of the family alone that Miss Sharp, so هنا Miss Sharp, خدوا بالكم اللي هي the same Rebecca, notice that. Nor was it with the chiefs of the family alone that Miss Sharp found favor. مش بس هي كانت friendly مع الchiefs الكبارات البيت, ولكن أيضا كمان she interested Mrs. Blenkinsop by evincing the deepest sympathy in the raspberry jam preserving which operation was then going on the housekeeper's room. بتمدح الجام بتاعها. I think she's a cook. She persisted in calling Sambo sir and Mr. Sambo, that's a servant, كانت بتقول له Mr. Sambo, to the delight of that attendant, and she apologized to the lady's maid for giving her trouble in venturing to ring the bell, with such sweetness and humility that the servants' hall was almost as charmed with her as the drawing room. خد بالكم ده بيسموه indirect characterization. احنا بنتعرف هنا على شخصية ميس ريبيكا through her ازاي بتعمل مع servants. So I think she's a kind person. Okay, notice that while reading. Once, in looking over some drawings which Amelia had sent from school, Rebecca suddenly came upon one drawing which caused her to burst into tears and leave the room. بصت على صورة وقطعت. It was on the day when Joe Sedley made his second appearance. Amelia hastened over her friend to know the cause of this display of feeling, and the good-natured girl came back without her companion, rather affected too. She went, راحت. What's the matter with you, Rebecca? تعيطي ليه يا Rebecca? You know, her father was our drawing master, Mama. Now, this is a conversation between Emilia and her mother. تقول لها إيه? You know, her father, that's Rebecca's father, was our drawing master. ده كان drawing master بتاعنا. Mama, at Chiswick, that's a place, and used to do all the best parts of our drawings. فلما شافت الدروينج بتاع بابا, she cried. She remembered her father. My love, I'm sure I always heard Miss Pinkerton say that he didn't touch them. He only mounted them, just fixed them. It was called mounting, Mama. Rebecca remembers the drawing and her father working at it, and the thought of it came upon her rather suddenly. And so, you know, the poor child is all heart, said Mrs. Sedley. Conversation between mother and daughter. I wish she could stay with us another week, said Amelia. She's devilish like Miss Cutler that I used to meet at Dum Dum. Only fairer, she's married now to Lane, okay, the artillery surgeon. Do you know, بتفتكر قصة يعني ممكن we can skip it. Oh, Joseph. Oh, دخلنا في جوزيف. خليكم فاكرين جوزيف اللي هو جو. اللي هو هير اللي هو جو اللي اتقال خالص فوق. جو سادلي. مين؟ اللي هو ابنها بقى. Oh, Joseph. We know that story, said Emilia. اللي هي مين Emilia Joseph? اللي هي sister. Oh, Joseph, we know that story, said Emilia laughing. Never mind about telling that, but persuade Mama to write to Sir something Crowley for leave of absence for poor dear Rebecca. Here she comes, her eyes red with weeping. رجعت Rebecca. I'm better now, said the girl. Mean a girl, Rebecca. With the sweetest smile possible, taking good-natured Mrs. Sedley's extended hand and kissing it respectively. How kind you all are to me. All, she added, with a laugh, except you, Mr. Joseph. Thank you, you are all so kind to me, except you, Joseph. Who's Mr. Joseph? Hello, Joe. Me, said Joseph, mediating an instant departure. Gracious heavens. Good God, Miss Sharp. Yes, how could you be so cruel as to make me eat the horrid pepper dish at dinner the first day I ever saw you? You are not so good to me as dear Amelia. He doesn't know you so well, cried Amelia. I defy anybody not to be good to you, my dear, said her mother. The curry was capital, indeed it was, said Joe, quite gravely. Perhaps there was not enough citron juice in it. No, there was not. And the chilies. By Jove, like, by God, how they made you cry out, said Joe, caught by the ridicule of the circumstance and exploding in a fit of laughter which ended quite suddenly as usual. I shall take care how I let you choose for me another time, said Rebecca as they went down again to dinner. I didn't think men were fond of putting poor harmless girls to pay. عيب عليك يعني انت بتحط harmless girl وبتأذيني ضايقتني يا جو. By God, Miss Rebecca, I wouldn't hurt you for the world. No, she said, I know you wouldn't. And then she gave him ever so gentle a pressure with her little hand and drew it back quite frightened and looked first for one instant in his face and then down at the carpet rods. And I am not prepared to say that Joe's heart did not thump at this little involuntary, timid, gentle motion of regard on the part of this simple girl. She touched his hand and then she took it away quickly. بسرعة ده اللي حصل هنا. Let's go to the questions. تعال نشوف كده questions. نبدأ. احنا قلنا طبعا kinds of questions. بسرعة كده general questions. Leave it till the end. Citation questions. Question with citation. Question without citation. line reference, paired question, vocabulary question. So let's see question 1. Citation على طول. In line 114, 123, the tone is best described. خليكم فاكرين إن كان في فيديو أنا كنت عامله على التون. You can watch it. Okay, so the tone. التون attitude. This is the attitude. يعني أنت the attitude of that part كان إيه؟ Okay. من 114 to 23. طب نشوف كده قصده ايه tense and unforgiving. You know the word tense like uneasy يعني جو مشدود. Unsettling and disparaging. Caring and persistent. Innocent and unexpected. Let's read that part. نشوف كده هنحس بإيه لما نقرأ البارت ده. 114 123. Okay. Let's read that part. Okay. بيقول ايه؟ No, said she, I know you wouldn't. And then she gave him ever a gentle. بص الفوكابلري المستخدم عشان التون بيجي ازاي تون from the vocab. vocab المستخدم. تحس بإيه؟ تحس بإيه هنا؟ She gave him a gentle pressure with her little hand and drew it back quite frightened. لمسته بإيديها الضعيفة الجنتل and looked first for one instant in his face. بصت في وشه and then down on the carpet shot. كسفت. And I'm not prepared to say that Joe's heart. طب الرياكشن بتاع جو ايه بقى؟ His heart did not thump. قلبه قاعد يدق. With this little involuntary, timid, gentle motion. حاسين بإيه هنا؟ This is what. تون هنا ايه؟ الفيلينج هنا ايه؟ الإحساس هنا ايه؟ كان tense خالص. unsettling مش مريح no. كان في caring و persistent. كان في إصرار خالص ما كانش في إصرار على حاجة. هي لمسته اتكسفت وكانت حاجة something unexpected. He didn't expect that. Even she didn't expect إن هي تعمل كده. So the tone here is innocent and unexpected. Okay. Question number 2. Which of the following describe the relationship between Joe Sedley and Rebecca? So this is 2 and 3. The question will evidence بتاعه. Which of the following describe the relationship between Sedley and Rebecca? relationship بتاعتهم شكلها ازاي؟ تعال نقرا كده choices. There is animosity. You know the word animosity like hatred. Okay, بيكرهوا بعض. They are dear friends. There remain tension between them. They are strangers. طيب نعرف ازاي؟ Let's read the evidence. ونعمل matching between the evidence and the question. طيب يبقى animosity, friends, tension. في tension بينهم أو they are strangers. So let's read the first evidence in number 3. Okay, so evidence number 1 من 1 ل 4. Okay, بيقول إيه؟ Okay, so poor Joe's panic lasted for 2 or 3 days, during which he didn't visit the house, nor did that period did Miss Rebecca ever mention his name. Nothing. He was panicked. ما جاش البيت. هي ما جاتش البيت. ما قالتش اسمه. ما فيش relationship. Okay. Number 2, 44 till 45. Okay, 44. Sorry. So, it was one day when Joe Sedley made his second appearance. Nothing. برضو ما فيش حاجة اتقالت هنا. Okay, C, 84, 86. So 84. So 1, 2, 3, 4. لاحظين هنا ان 84 ده دخل من نص الباراجراف. يعني read from the beginning. دايما read before the evidence. Try to read before the evidence, especially when انهم ما بدأش من بداية السنتنس. طيب بداية الevidence من 84, but we are going to read from the beginning. So I am better now, said the girl, with the sweetest smile possible, taking good-natured Mrs. Sedley's extended hand and kissing it respectively. How kind you are all to me. All. Huh? All? She added with a laugh. Except you, Joseph. This is the relationship. All were kind except Joseph. إلا أنت يا Joseph. مش kind to me. Okay. Me, said Joseph, mediating an instant departure. Gracious heaven, في إيه نمزعلك في إيه? So I think that's the evidence. So what do you think the relationship between them? So it is نقول عليها إيه بقى في number 2? C, there remain tension between them. في tension بينهم. That's C. Okay, and for 3, I think it's C also. Okay. vocabulary as used in line 13. Induce most nearly means. طب induce كده لوحدها كده من غير طبعا احنا we plug the choices in and ونفكر نشوف الانسر. طب induce لوحدها كده. What the meaning of induce? Induce like cause. When you induce something to happen, you cause it to happen. Generate, like when you generate something, you produce it. Or produce something, generate. Okay, instigate, well, to start something. Stir up something. Persuade, I think عارفين يعني persuade يقنع حاجة. Foster, like help to grow. Help to grow, like nurture. Let's see 13. نروح بقى 13 ونشوف بيقول ايه فيها. Let's see. Okay. Line 14. Okay. So okay. I'm sorry. That was line 13. Sorry. So line 13. Induce. Okay. So من البداية one day Emilia, okay, one day, okay, she called it up كده. So one day, okay, Emilia had a headache and could not go upon some social gathering to which the two young people were invited. But in Kulin, we elaborate, nothing could induce her friend to go without her. Nothing could induce her friend to go without her. Induce her friends, nothing can eat. Nothing can eat. Generate her friends, instigate her friends, ولا persuade her friends. هي كانت عايزة تروح عايزة تقنعها. So nothing can persuade. I think that's an easy question. Okay, number 5. According to the passage, why did Rebecca cry in line 40 till 44? طبعا عندي هنا question بالevidence, but please when you answer these kinds of questions, read before. دايما my advice to you, read before. Okay, so line 40 till line 44. So the question خليك فاكر كان بيقول هنا ايه؟ cry. Why did Rebecca cry? هي عيطت ليه؟ نشوف كده line 44. تعال نقرا من البداية بتقول ايه؟ من 40 مثلا. Once in looking over some drawings which Amelia had sent from school, Rebecca suddenly came upon one which caused her to burst into tears and leave the room. It was the day when Joe Sedley made this second appearance. طب هي عيطت لما شافت الصورة. طيب نعمل ايه؟ Read after. Amelia hastened after her friend to know the cause of this display of feeling, and the good-natured girl came back without her companion, rather affected too. رجعت. You know, بدأت تكلم مامتها. Her father was our drawing master, Mama, at Chiswick, and used to do all the best parts of our drawing. So she cried when she saw this painting, whose father helped to paint. She remembered her father. So I think actually for number 5 the answer will be سهلة بقى كده. She knew that Joe Sedley was coming to visit. أكيد لأ. She is prone to, prone like liable to random burst of emotion. Prone معرضة لأن هي بيجي لها انفعالات حادة كده random عشوائية خالص ما بتعيطش من غير سبب. هي مش مجنونة. She recalled her father. Recalled like remembered her father. Yes, this is the answer. Okay, بس كده. She would be leaving Emilia that week. No evidence in here she's going to leave. Okay, for number 6. Okay. Rebecca's relationship with her father is best similar to type. That question is without citation. ملوش citation. طب اتقالت فين? Which part was her father mentioned? علاقتها ببابا. I think it was mentioned only in that part. Part لما her father left her when she burst into tears. That part in line 44 when she burst into tears when she saw her father's drawing. So her father left the drawing. القصة هنا ايه? Her father left the drawing. Okay, or a painting or whatever. So he left this painting. So when she saw that painting, she cried. So her relationship is like what? نشوفها بقى كده ازاي البينتينج اللي هو سابه لها هي عيطت فنشوف هتبقى ازاي. طيب يبقى Rebecca's relationship with her father is best similar to a bird was fallen out of the nest and is saved by its mother. مفيش. Nothing here. طيب an orphan tailor who has sentimentally kept his late father's equipment, like a tailor, her father left her equipment. It could be. So her father left that painting just like the tailor who left the equipment. ممكن. An apple that has fallen early from the tree. Nothing طبعا. An orphan who has never known his or her parents. No, she knows her parents. She knows her father. So definitely the answer is B. Okay, 7 vocabulary. Okay, as used in line 95. Okay, defy. هي defy لوحدها كده معناها ايه؟ challenge. Okay, escape معروفة, challenge. So violate, to violate means to break. To frustrate means to annoy someone. That's frustrate. Annoy people. Let's plug them in. نشوف هيبقى معناها ايه. 95. I defy anybody not to be good to you. يعني أنا أتحدى anybody not to. أنت إنسانة كويسة جدا. أنا أتحدى كل الناس كويسة معاك. I defy anybody. So I defy anybody. I escape anybody. I challenge anybody. I violate anybody. I break anybody. I annoy anybody. I challenge. جاي هنا بالliteral meaning بتاع defy. So definitely it's B. Okay, 8. Again, 8 and 9. Part 1 و part 2 مع بعض. Which of the following best describes Rebecca's character? والevidence. Okay, نقراهم بسرعة. Good natured and appeals to all. Good natured. إنسانة جميلة جدا. Appeals to all. Attracted, all people are attracted to her. Condescending and overbearing. فاكرين condescending يعني إيه condescending? Like looking down at someone. Okay, overbearing, like an arrogant person. Proud. إنسانة بتتعالى تبص على الناس من فوق. This is condescending. Emotional and constantly distraught. على طول هي distraught يعني distraught يعني حزينة على طول. Upset. تعيط على طول. طبعا هي عيطت في موقف but mostly she laughed a lot. يعني. Stubborn and unwavering in her determination. يعني unwavering يعني she's determined. ده دايما يعني تحدي. Firm determination. Let's see the evidence. تعال كده نشوف مع بعض. Okay. Okay, evidence. 28, 39. تعال نشوف كده من 28 to 39. What do we have? 28. Okay, so 26, 27, 28. Okay, ممكن نقرا بس قبلها بشوية. Nor was it with the chiefs of the family alone that Miss Sharp found favor. يعني هي كانت كويسة مع الكل مش بس ال chief of the house. She interested example بقى إن هي إزاي هي she's a kind person. She interested Mrs. Blinksop by evincing the deepest sympathy in the raspberry jam preserving which operation was then going on the housekeeper's room. فاكرين بقى البارت ده كله اللي احنا قريناه and she's kind to the people, she's kind to the servants. She even called the servant كان اسمه Sambo, she called him Mr. Sambo. آخر حتة خالص لما قال هنا إيه and that the servants' hall was almost as charmed with her as a drawing room. يعني حتى ال servants' hall المكان بتاع الخدم ماله كان charmed كان جميل جدا أكنه drawing room. So she's that's an evidence that she's what? Yeah, that's an evidence that she is she's a kind person. She's good-natured and appeals to all. So I think the evidence here is so clear. It's A, and 9 also is A. Okay, the last question. In line 115 and 119, what can best be deduced from Rebecca's reaction? Reaction بتاع 115 119. Do you remember that part? فاكرين when she touched his hand? ايه اللي حصل هنا؟ She touched his hand and with her gentle pressure with her little hand and she drew it back quite frightened. ورجعت بسرعة خافت. She was embarrassed and looked first for one instant in his face and then down at the carpet rods. نطلع من ايه من الرياكشن بتاعها نهائي. Let's read. Rebecca was worried about Joe Sadler's reaction to her forwardness. كلمة forwardness like boldness. اتجرأت. She touched his hand. This is forwardness. This is boldness. جرأة. She's worried. Yes. I think yes. It could be because when she touched his hand, okay, هي شالتها بسرعة. بصت في وشه عشان تشوف الرياكشن بتاعه. حرجت. Looked at. Okay. تعال نحل بالelimination. شوف دي. Rebecca forgot she was speaking to Joe Sadly. We don't have an evidence for that. Rebecca was embarrassed in the presence of Mrs. Sidley and Emilia. Maybe she was embarrassed, but we don't have evidence that she was embarrassed in the presence of Mrs. Sidley and Emilia. We don't have evidence for that because she looked at his face. هي بصت في وشه ما بصتش لميسيس سيدلي ولا إيميليا. Rebecca didn't like to entertain Joe Sadly. Again, we don't have evidence for that. So definitely the answer is A. So, okay, so this is a passage 1, so let's go to passage 2. Okay, the second passage. I recommend when answering these kinds of passages إن أنا أستخدم التكنيك اللي هو SSS. So, scan, skim, and skip. Okay, scan for the broad ideas, skim and skip details. So let's read it. So we're gonna read the blurb. هنشوف في حاجة مهمة. Read the first paragraph and we're gonna read like the first sentence from each paragraph. بسرعة كده. Okay, so the following passage is taken from the American Railway by Thomas Clark et al. On the movement of locomotives in 1988. طلعت أنا هتكلم عن locomotives اللي هي trains. Okay, so we come next. Let's see. So we come next to the superintendent of the machinery, whose duty is to provide and maintain locomotives and cars of all kinds to handle the company's traffic. Okay, بيكلمني هنا على superintendent. Okay, وظيفته إيه؟ Sorry. His department is subdivided between a master mechanic in charge of locomotives and machine shops and a master car builder in charge of car shops. Okay, division بتاعه. Details. Okay, paragraph 2, our sentence. The master mechanic selects بيكلمني على master mechanic and immediately controls all engine runners and firemen and keeps performance sheets of locomotives showing miles run, cars hauled, wages paid, coal and oil consumed, and the other detail giving results accomplished by different runners and firemen and by different types of engine of different divisions of the road. All details about كلها descriptions و details about الماستر ميكانيك. طيب بس انا عايز اجيب ايه هو عايز ايه المين ايديا بتاعت تتكلم عليه لغايه دلوقتي locomotives وعرفني بالسوبرintendent والماستر ميكانيك. طيب the master car builder has charge of shops. اوكي برضه انت تكلمني على الماستر كار shops. تمام. next, formerly each railroad used its own cars exclusively and through freight were transferred at every junction point. بيكلمني على الفريت اللي هي الجودز. تمام ما فيش حاجه برضه. تمام. طيب ايه تاني هنا؟ and next, there is much convenience in this. طب this ده اللي هو ايه مثلا؟ نرجع نشوف في line 50. and conventions of master car builders have recommended certain forms and dimensions as standard which are now in general use. في بيعملوا standards ماشيين عليه. there is much convenience in this but one disadvantage اللي هي الستاندرد حاطين standard. اوكي بقى بدأ يتكلم على disadvantage. it requires almost unanimous action to introduce any change of form of constructions. however advantages it may be. كلمة unanimous يعني all agree. يعني عشان يعملوا أي تغيير لازم يبقى فيه unanimous action. all agree كله يوافق. طيب next one, having shown how the property of all kinds is kept in efficient condition we next come to its operation. اوكي ده خلينا على مرحلة الاوبريشن. يبقى الباراجراف ده بيكلمني على الاوبريشن. اوكي first, okay, a general timetable or schedule is carefully made out for all regular trains. طب first يعني first على ايه؟ طب تعال نشوف كده ناخد sentence كمان نفهم ايه الموضوع. على الاوبريشن قال ايه؟ this is called conducting transportation and the officer in charge is usually called the superintendent of transportation. حلو جدا. يبقى this paragraph about the superintendent of transportation. يعني actually ايه هي responsibilities بتاعت السوبرintendent؟ يبقى الباراجراف ده جاي elaborate from the previous one. بيكلمني بقى اللي هو a general timetable or a schedule is carefully made out of all regular trains upon each division showing on one sheet the time of each train at each station. اوكي ده الresponsibilities بتاعته. بيحط schedules يحط الجدول المواعيد. طيب اوكي let's see. تعال نشوف الquestions كده بسرعة. في هنا table. اوكي question 11. Okay. Which of the following is most likely a premium as mentioned in line 21. So this is vocabulary. معناها ايه premium? Gifts, salary bonus, extra hours of paid work, a certificate of acknowledgement. So let's plug it in. تعالى نعملها plug it in ونشوف معناها ونحاول نفهمها. Okay, in line 21. Okay, premiums. So ناخد السنتنس من أولها بيقول إيه؟ Okay. So runners and firemen accomplishing the best results are often remunerated. كلمة remunerated يعني paid with premiums. بيدفعوا لهم premiums اللي accomplish. شوف كلام accomplished يعني حاجة كويس و best results. حد عمل best results I'm gonna give him a premiums. هديله premium. يعني ايه premium؟ like money مثلا. يعني حاول تفكر فيها كده. هديله gift. No. I'm gonna give him like salary bonus أكيد money. Extra hours of paid work أكيد مش هديله extra hours of paid work. Certificate, so that's premium. I think إن أنت you're gonna give him like money, bonus, salary, bonus. Plug them in وحاول to answer it before إن أنت تبص على الأنسر. إن شاء الله you're gonna do it. طيب question 12 and 13 paired. Question 12 and 13 paired. طيب بيقول لي في question 12. According to the passage, which of the following is a drawback to having standards that rarely change؟ يعني عايز disadvantage ان انت حاطط standard، انت حاطط rules نادرا ما بتغيرها. طب ايه الدروباك من ده؟ ايه الديسادفانتج من ده؟ اوكي طبعا question with evidence. نقرا التشويسز كده بيقول ايه؟ Change can only be made if everyone agrees to it even if it beneficial. I think ان احنا قرينا حاجه زي كده. اوكي ان التشينج هيحصل لو في كله agree اللي هي فاكرين كلمه unanimous. Okay. Reform can only take, that's B, reform can take place during certain times, therefore it is rare. Change is immediate, leading to many faults. بيغيروا بسرعة leading to faults. There is a lack of unanimity in the scheduling of trains. مفيش unanimity واحنا بنعمل scheduling of trains. ده عكس اللي هو قاله على فكرة. Okay, تعال نشوف الإيفيدنس كده. In 13, let's see A 50 till 53. Okay. Sorry. بيقول E 50 till 53. Okay. And conventions of master art. Okay. And conventions of master car builders have recommended certain forms and dimensions as standards, which are now in general use. طب ده هو ده السؤال بيسأل هنا. He's asking about that بس ما قاليش حاجة. He's just telling me إن هي they put standards which are now in general use. They put standard كلهم ماشيين عليه. طيب فين الدروباك؟ he's asking خليك فاكر he's asking about the drawback. طيب ال next one next evidence كان في line I think 55 till 58. تعال نشوف من 55 وتعلمنا دايما read before the evidence. read before the evidence يعني evidence بتبتدي من 55 نقرا من قبل. بيقول ايه؟ there is much convenience in this. this اللي هو مين؟ اللي هو الستاندرد. But one disadvantage, that question is asking about the disadvantage. ايه بقى disadvantage? It requires almost unanimous action to introduce any change of form of constructions. However, advantages is maybe يعني ايه؟ يعني they have to agree. All have to agree. طب اتقالت فين all to have to agree دي؟ اللي هي فين؟ اللي هي A. اللي هي change can only be made if everyone agrees to it. it اللي هو مين؟ اللي هو التشينج. even if it beneficial. تقول لي مستر طب دي مالها؟ ما قايل unanimity اهي. قال there is a lack of unanimity in the schedule of train. ما جابش سيري ده هو جاب كلمة unanimity ولكن ما قالش ما فيش unanimity في السكيدولينج بتاع الترين. هو كل اللي قاله ان هم محتاجين عشان to make a change لازم ايه؟ لازم كل الناس توافق. اللي هي ايه؟ unanimous change. لازم كله يوافق عليه. اللي هي ايه؟ اللي هي ايه؟ That's it. So A, 12A and 13 will be B. Okay. 40. The passage is most likely written from the point of view of مين اللي كتب الباسج؟ This is a general question. You can leave it till the end أو لو أنت متأكد من إجابتك you can answer it anytime. A president of a railroad company, since the author is familiar with technical details of operation, yes هو واحد بيتكلم فاهم هو بيقول إيه. ممكن yes why not. طيب the 20th century historian, since the author walks the reader through the past خالص that's not history. مش بيتكلم في الهيستوري خالص. ده بيتكلم عن اللوكوموتيف وايه اللي بيحصل ومين شغال جوه. That's not history. مش historian خالص. A museum tour guide that's not a museum. أكيد that's not a museum. Since the passage present a table, so what you have a table يعني. That's not a museum tour guide خالص. A locomotive enthusiast. واحد متحمس قوي بقى لللوكوموتيف. Since the passage is filled with fan jargon اللي هي بقول عليها اللي هي special language. يعني اللي هي specialized language used by people in the same word. يعني ايه؟ يعني مثلا هتلاقي ميكانيك، هتلاقي الوردز بتاعته كلها في الجارجن. تلاقيه بيستخدم vocabulary sometimes you don't understand. انواع الهامرز، انواع يعني انواع التولز بتاعته، فكل دي ايه؟ jargon. specialized language used by people in the same word اسمها jargon. I think ما كانش في اي jargon هنا عندنا، ف I think it is a مين اللي كتب الباسج دي؟ Okay, line question 15. As used in line 22, charge means vocabulary again. طيب charge معناها ايه؟ Payment, you know, payment like paying money, or assault, you know, assault means to attack. Okay, ولا responsibility ولا allegation. You know, allegation means accusation. Accusation. تمام. في allegation ضدك يعني في accusation ضد حضرتك. طيب question 15 line 22. تعالى كده نجرب line 22 ونعمل plug in زي ما اتعلمنا. So the master car has charge of shops where cars are built and repaired. The master car has charge of the shops. يبقى ايه؟ مسؤول عن الشوبس. صح؟ has responsibility of the shops. يعني سهلة كده. أكيد مش بيهاجم الشوبس، مش بيدفع الشوبس، مش بيأكيوز الشوبس، ولكن he's responsible of the shops. صح كده؟ Okay. Number 16. Okay, 16. The passage resembles يعني looks like تشبه يعني. Which of the following structures؟ كان في أنا عملت فيديو على الموضوع ده اللي هو الستراكشر بتاع الباسجز، الأورجنايزيشن. يعني بليز حاول إن أنت تتفرج عليه، هيفيدك جدا في الموضوع ده. اوكي الباسج الكونستراكشن بتاعها compare و contrast بيقارن. problem كان عندي problem و solution. descriptive ولا sequence يعني ايه first second third last finally. طبعا واضح جدا ان الباسج دي مليانه descriptive، كلها description يعني it's C. اوكي for this question please اتفرج على الفيديو please اللي انا كنت عامله، هتلاقيه مكتوب عليه organization of the passage. مهمه. اوكي question 17. As used in line 93. Keep vocabulary تاني. Most nearly means save, delay, obey, remain. تعال نشوف كده 93 again و plug them in. 93. Okay. Remain. Okay. I'm sorry. تعالى معلش تاني. Okay. Line 93. Keep. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. 93. 94, 93, keep. This schedule is all that is needed so long as all the trains or all trains are able to keep on time. يعني احنا محتاجين السكيدول ده طالما الترينز keep on time. يعني ايه؟ محافظة على وقتها. remain on time. ماشية في الوقت. اللي هي ايه بقى؟ keep on time تنفع مين؟ save on time, delay on time, obey on time ولا remain on time؟ I think it's obvious طبعا هي ايه؟ remain on time. سهلة قوي. 17. I'm sorry. 17. Okay. The purpose of the final paragraph is to فاكرين دايما كنت بقول لكم ايه؟ read before يا ولاد. Please read before عشان تحل سؤال زي ده. read before. Okay. ودايما في عندك clues كده. بيقول ايه؟ provide an example of a train collision. بيديني example collision حادثة train. refute. You know the word refute is, you know خد بالك الverbs مهمة قوي. Okay. refute like disprove. عكس prove. refute. The importance of timetable. عايز يقول timetable is not important يعني. highlight the responsibility of a superintendent. بيكلمني على responsibilities. conclude the aforementioned main ideas. aforementioned يعني اللي هي mentioned before. طب I'm not gonna read a lot يعني. ولكن خلينا أذكياء كده شوية لما بيقول ال last paragraph. طب last paragraph فين ال last paragraph؟ اللي هو starts from فاكرين لما قال first. طب كان first. اوكي كان first عن you have to read before. هات الباراجراف من أوله كده، كان بيتكلم على إيه الباراجراف؟ فاكرين لما قلنا هنا إيه؟ This is called كلام على operation. Having shown how the property of all kinds is kept in efficient condition, we next come to the operation or its operation. This is called conducting transportation, and the officer in charge is usually called the superintendent of transportation. بقية الباراجراف كله بيكلمني على superintendents of transportation. بيعمل إيه superintendents of transportation؟ اوكي بعدين قال هنا ايه؟ اخر sentence. It is impossible to detail fully the safeguards and precaution used to this end. And يعني الهدف ده او التارجت اللي احنا عايزين نوصل له. But the general principles observed are as follows. فانا هقول لكم ايه هي responsibilities بتاعت superintendents. First, a general timetable or schedule is carefully made out for the regular training. بدأ بقى ايه يحكي عن ال schedule how is it is made. يبقى هنشوف بقى let's see كده بيقول ايه هنا. طيب provide an example of a train collision. ما حصلش اي train collision. refute the importance of timetable. That timetable is very important. من غيره هتبقى في مشكلة. highlight the responsibilities of the superintendents. Yes ممكن. conclude the aforementioned main ideas. He didn't conclude the ideas. ده مش conclusion. انت بتديني حاجة جديدة لسه عمري اشوفها. So it is definitely C. Okay. Okay. For 19 and 20, yes, question with evidence. Good. So according to the passage, what is an essential element of keeping train on track? ايه الessential element؟ ايه الحاجة المهمة جدا to keep trains on track? A list of extra locomotives, a visual representation, follow up on moving trains, a detailed schedule. Okay. طيب نشوف evidence. Okay. من 84 ل 87. Okay. 84, 87. It is impossible to detail fully the safeguards and precautions. لسه قاريينها دلوقتي. To this end, but the general principles observed are as follows. طبعا nothing هنا مفيش حاجة متقالة. طيب 92. Okay. واتفقنا هنا إن هو يبدأ من 92. So أهي. This schedule is all that is needed so long as all the trains are able to keep on time and there are no extras. So the schedule R is that A? Is all that is needed. So what is important? الايه؟ طبعا واضحة جدا ان هو the answer will be a detailed schedule. So 19D with 20 it's B, detailed schedule. The last question. According to the graphic, the سؤال graph, the locomotive in 1988 carried more A. في 1998. تعال كده نفهم الجراف نشوف بيقول ايه في الجراف العجيب ده. اوكي بيقول ايه miles run وبعدين هنا A يعني دايما بص تحت بص فوق. A number of engines يبقى ده A the number of engines. B the number of passengers اللي هو around 165,000 تقريبا. ده ال passengers اللي هو B. اوكي وعندي ال freight اللي هي ال goods اللي هي C اللي هي 116,000 تقريبا. طب هو بيقول ايه بقى مين اكتر حاجة I think. رجعت للسؤال تاني بيقول لك ايه. According to the graphic the locomotive in 1980 it carried more E. ايه اكتر حاجه more ايه اكتر حاجه اتشالت هنا. اوكي so واضحه جدا ان الباسنجرز اكتر حاجه هنا اتشالت صح كده. بص كده هنا كده. اوكي I'm sorry الباسنجرز 165 so definitely طبعا هي سهله جدا. it is a اوكي طيب ال second passage نوصل بقى ان شاء الله نروح لل third passage. Okay, so the third passage. Let's read the blurb. نشوف كده في حاجة مهمة. So the first edited passage is from Animals of the Past by Frederick Lucas on the reasons animals become extinct. حتة مهمة دي. Okay, the second edited passage. This is paired طبعا. The second edited passage is taken from Our Vanishing Wildlife by William T. Hornaday on the abuse of nature. Passage الأولانية عن reasons animals become extinct. اوكي طب هنستخدم برضو زي ما قلنا we're gonna scan, skim and skip نعرف كده what is this passage about. ايه الموضوع ايه المين بوينت عايز ايه. اوكي so let's read. It is often asked why do animals become extinct, but the question is one to which it is impossible to give a comprehensive and satisfactory reply. This chapter does not pretend to do so, but merely presents a few aspects of this complicated many-sided problem. Actually هو سأل سؤال why do animals become extinct? That's a question. This is an impossible question. مش هنقدر نجيب إجابة satisfactory reply على الإجابة دي. in this chapter he introduces his premise. بيقدم الفكرة بتاعته. Okay, أنا سألت سؤال but يعني it's difficult to answer this question. I'm gonna present بيقول إيه but merely present a few aspects of this complicated problem. عندنا problem it's complicated هنتكلم على الأسبكت بتاعتها. طيب but don't expect أن أنا أقدر أجاوب عليه يعني definitely. بس introduction دايما فكر كأي why يعني why is he writing this بس ليه بيكتب ده مش what is he writing طبعا what is he writing is important but why is he writing this في كلمة واحدة why introduction. طيب نشوف paragraph 2 in many cases it may be said that actual experimentation has not taken place but that in the course of development one species has passed into another. Species may have been lost but the race just as in the growth of tree, the twigs and branches of sapling disappear while the tree as a whole grows onward and upward. يعني, what is he saying here? In very many cases, it may be said that actual extermination, has not taken place. هو ما فيش actual extermination. هو مش بيقول إن بيحصل extinct. ما فيش extinction بيحصل. ما فيش extermination بيحصل. ولكن هو إيه? But that in the course of development one species has passed into another. يعني في species راح وفي species جه. That's it. وبدأ يديني example بقى بالتري التويكس تقع فيها ولكن التري ما زالت موجودة. وبدأ يدي example. Okay. next one. Again, there are many cases of animals and particularly of large animals so peculiar in their makeup, so very obviously adapted to their own special surrounding that it requires little imagination to see that it would have been a difficult matter for them to have responded to even a slight change in the world about them. في examples كتير لانيمالز تعمل كده وبدأ يديني examples في اللي بعدها بقى. I think these are examples لمين such great and necessary sluggish brutes such as the brontosaurus and the diplodocus with their tons of flesh, small head and feeble teeth. بدأ يديني examples لإيه. I think these are dinosaurs اللي هي مش قادرة تاكل يعني بياكلوا كتير قوي so ما فيش food so they vanished وجاء مكانهم حاجة تانية. فالراجل ده مش مع الاكستنكشن لان they replace حاجة بتروح حاجة بتيجي. That's his point up till now. طيب coming down to a more recent epoch period of time when the big titanotheres flourished. Another example. It is easy to see from a glance at their large simple teeth that these beasts needed an ample, like enough provision food of coarse vegetation, and as they seem never to have spread far beyond their birthplace, climatic change, modifying even a comparatively limited area, would suffice يعني enough ممكن تشيل non-essential ده كله would suffice to sweep them out of existence. يعني حيوانات ضخمة جدا فمحتاجين أكل كتير جدا فمفيش أكل كتير جدا ف they خلاص sweep out اختفوا. طيب ممكن بقى يعني نشوف كده يعني can we answer the questions in passage 1. Okay. Question 22. The purpose of the first paragraph of the passage. فاكرين لما قلنا the first paragraph كان بيعمل ايه؟ Introduce the premise. قلنا يعني ايه premise? Like the assumption of the passage. Refute. بالكم الverbs. Refute. disprove حاجة. A common misconception. Speculate the importance of question proposed. Highlight the different aspects of extinction. I think من paragraph 1 it's obvious لما سأل السؤال do animals exist؟ في حصل why do animals become extinct. I'm not gonna answer this question specifically. مفيش إجابة صريحة على ده ولكن I'm gonna هقول لكم في اللي جاي ده هنحاول إحنا to answer this question together. So it's introducing his premise. That's an introduction to his premise. So definitely it's a. Okay, for 32 vocabulary as used in line 31 يلا بينا نعمل plugging ايه material طبعا consequence like results contents ولا situation. نشوف كده في 31 قال ايه 31. Okay 31 matter. So sentence الطويلة قوي بتاعتنا دي لما قال again there are many cases of animals particularly the non-essential, so peculiar in their makeup, so very obviously adapted to their own special surrounding, that it requires little imagination to see what it would have been a difficult matter for them to have responded to even a slight change in the world about them. So a difficult matter for them. difficult ايه؟ موضوع صعب بالنسبة لهم. difficult ايه بالنسبة لهم؟ قصده ايه difficult matter؟ It's a difficult matter for them. طب تعالى كده نجرب. So it would have been a difficult matter for them to have responded. طيب نجرب كده matter. It would have been a difficult what? A difficult situation for them, or ايه الchoices اللي عندي؟ A difficult material, consequence, result, content, محتوى, ولا situation? So definitely it is a situation. Okay, for question 24, which of the following best explain the author's stance? يعني ايه stance الposition on man in past؟ ايه موقفه من المان؟ Okay, so let's read. خدها برضو كده. let's يعني بسرعة نشوف ايه المين بوينت بتاعتها زي ما عملنا في passage 1. So for educated civilized man to exterminate a valuable wild species of living things is a crime. It is a crime against his own children and posterity. Posterity اللي هي next generation. That's it. يعني it's killing animals. It's a crime. No man has a right. Okay. Non-essential, either moral or legal, to destroy or squander, يعني waste, an inheritance of his children that he holds for them in trust. يبقى ده paragraph 2 بيتكلم في نفس البوينت. Man has no right to destroy animals. طيب الباراجراف next one بيقول ايه؟ The wild things of this earth are not ours to do with as please. نفس البوينت اللي وراها. But man, the shameless destroyer of nature's gifts, طبعا ده non-essential, blithely يعني happily and persistently exterminate one species after another. يعني شوف الديسكربشن، يعني هو exterminate بيكيل الانيمالز كلها بيوبدها وهو happy، وهو سعيد جدا. So نفس البوينت، ما عملش اي shift في الكلام. Today the women of England, Europe, and elsewhere are directly promoting the extermination of scores of beautiful species of wild birds by the devilish persistence with which they buy and wear feather ornaments made of their plumage. Sentence طويلة قوي بس عايز يقول ايه؟ إن the women of England, that's an evidence. يعني this is an objective evidence that man exterminates animals. That the women of England and Europe, they just kill البيردز الجميلة عشان يلبسوا الفeathers بتاعتهم. Okay, today, last paragraph. The thing that stares me in the face every waking hour like a grisly specter with bloody fang and claw is the non-essential كله is the extermination of species. نفس البوينت بيعيد ويزيد فيها. طيب تعال نشوف بقى بيقول ايه. Which of the following best, question 24-25, notice ان دول paired question. So which of the following best explain the author's stance, position of man. طيب man but in non-essential like animal faces extinction. I don't think إن هو قال كده خالص. Man is a victim of nature's perils, danger. هو victim ضحية. Man is purposefully يعني متعمدا cruel to nature. Maybe man unintentionally يعني بدون قصد destroys all that surrounds it. I think إن انتوا يعني you got the answer. It's so obvious. بس خلينا نشوف evidence معايا كده بسرعة من 70 ل 73. Okay, بسرعة كده. So 70-73 دي البارت بيقول لك man has the right شيل non-essential, he has the right to على طول to destroy. خلينا نقرا من غير non-essential. How can we read it? So no man has the right to destroy or squander the inheritance of his children that he holds for them. Nothing. 77 with all his wisdom man has not yet hasn't evolved and placed here so much as a ground squirrel, sparrow or a clam. يعني رغم تطوره يعني he didn't create anything, only God subhanahu wa ta'ala did that. Okay, في C من 92, let's see that. Okay, but man shamelessly the shameless destroyer of nature's gifts blithely and persistently exterminates one species after another. Hey, this is the evidence. يبقى هو happily be destroyed. يبقى his stance ايه؟ واضحة جدا ان هو man here for number 25. So evidence بتاعنا هيكون C طب وده معناه ايه C ده؟ اللي هو C man is a purposefully cruel to nature. متعمد. happily كان بيعملها happily و insistingly بيعمل ده متعمد. Okay 26. Okay which choice best state the relationship between the two passages؟ ده الكويستشن اللي هو ايه العلاقة ما بين ال two passages؟ Passage 1 attacks the stance okay taken in passage 2. طبعا اكيد الاثنين نفس الستانس. Okay no. Passage 1 Passage 1 provides scientific evidence for the information presented in passage 2. Okay, maybe. Okay. Passage 1 argues for the failure of men supported. ما اتكلمش عليها. Passage 1D demonstrate the historical. ما كانش فيه historical context. So definitely it's A. It's B. For 27 vocabulary secure هنا معناها ايه؟ 100. بسرعة كده خلينا نشوف 100 secure. Okay. The things that seemingly decent citizens شيل ال non-essential العجيب ده اللي هو بالكوما والداش. So the things that seemingly decent citizens will do على طول to wild game. wild game اللي هي wild animals يعني. When they secure great chances to slaughter are appalling. يبقى انت بتعمل ايه؟ secure great chances to slaughter. انت بتسكيور عشان تذبحهم. انت بتensure ان انت عايز تعمل لهم slaughtering. يبقى they ensure هنا. شايفين في B. Okay. 28. Which of the following statement of the author stands in passage 2 is true؟ برضو stands الposition بتاعه ايه في 28. Okay. The author provides subjective and objective evidence that fail to support his claim. يعني ايه subjective evidence؟ Subjective evidence يعني ايه؟ يعني is the evidence that you can't evaluate. You can accept it or reject it. يعني ايه؟ يعني مثلا اقول لك ايه I'm tired. طب قول لي ايه الايفيدنس بتاعك يا مستر وائل؟ اقول لك والله my foot hurts me. That's the evidence. طب can you prove that? Can you evaluate this evidence؟ ده كده subjective evidence. You can take it or leave it. طب الobjective evidence بقى العكس. ده evidence that you can evaluate. طب هو جاب لنا أي subjective evidence في passage 2؟ طبعا no. كلها كانت objective. B provides objective evidence. Yes. خلينا نحط question mark. The author provides little evidence to support. أكيد no. أي author بيدي evidence to his argument. The author provides no substantial evidence. أكيد لازم يبقى في evidence. So it's definitely B. Okay, for 29, I think 29 and 30, they are together. So, نشوفهم كده مع بعض. 29. Which of the following does the author of passage 1 states as a reason for extinction? ايه سبب extinction in passage 1? Okay, extinction is inevitable development يعني حتمي must happen of new species. غريبة شوية new species دي. أو is the inevitable development of new species. بس هو ما قالش إنها inevitable يعني. Development هنشوف الإيفيدنس. Animals naturally replace other animals with time due to food chain. هل اتكلم عن food chain؟ When animals adapt to their surrounding, they replace other animals leading to their extinction. Maybe. Extinction does not exist and it's a myth. طبعا ما قالش الكلام ده يعني they eliminated without reason يعني من غير ما نفكر يعني. طب تعال نشوف كده الإيفيدنس في 30 من 1 ل 4 بسرعة كده. اوكي طبعا في 1 احنا قريناها كتير قوي ما فيش حاجة فيها. ده الكويستشن اللي هو سأله nothing. طيب في 8 ل 11 okay in many cases it may be said that actual extermination has not taken place but that in the course of development one species has passed to another. يعني تعال نشوف الإيفيدنس اللي وراه. 19 ل 24. So in a general way it may be said that much of what at first glance we might term extinction يعني اللي احنا بنشوفه من اول نظره احنا بنشوف ان ده extinction is really مش extinction. هما سماه ايه؟ replacement of one set of animals by another better adapted to the surrounding condition. ففي مجموعه من الانيمالز عايشه اللي مش قادره تتكيف مش قادره تعمل adaptation مع المكان فجت another animal قدر يعمل الادابتيشن ده فده راح وده جت ف replacement و adaptation. طب ما هو ده exactly اللي هو قاله فين؟ This is the same as in like C لما قال when animals adapt to their surroundings they replace قالها بالظبط كده هناك other animals leading to their extinction. So definitely it is C. طيب و 30 again برضو C. 31 While the author of passage 1 discusses extinction of nature as related to nature, the author of passage 2 discusses extinction of nature as E. فاكرين لما قال لي man من الأول خالص man certainly it's man ولا certain species ولا royal class ولا fashion, so that's an easy one, it's mankind. Okay, 32. When mentioning اللي هي ال Eocene, I think this is Eocene, this is O. Eocene hierarchothere. In line 19, which of the following does the author assume? So let's read that part for 19. Okay. Okay, طيب. بيقول إيه? This is what we see in the horse, which is a living representation of unbroken line reaching back to the little Eocene hierarchothere. That's a period of time. يعني دي فترة عاشتها الأرض. طب هنا هو announce إيه؟ حد يعرف فيها يا ولاد إيه هو الأيوسين hierarchothere ده؟ أنا اللي قلتها لك دلوقتي الأيوسين. طب if you do يبقى he supposes إيه؟ إن أنت you know it. يعني he supposes إن أنت you know it. So يبقى 32 هنشوف كده. Is familiar with the term as a high school, okay, familiar, but high school students, يعني that's too specific. The reader is an avid reader of animal literature? I don't think so. The reader is unfamiliar with the term. لو كان unfamiliar كان عرفه. Okay, so no. The reader is familiar with the term and is a professional in the field. Yes, definitely. This is what is the answers. Okay, so now let's go to the next passage. Let's start with the fourth passage, the historical one. طبعا you are not supposed to read it يعني in details, you don't have time in the test, but actually I'm gonna read it with you now. أنا عارف الهيستوريكال بيبقى صعب شوية, ف I'm gonna read it with you. Okay? طيب. The following edited passage is taken from the Federalist paper by Alexander Hamilton on the general power of taxation. معلومة مهمة عن التاكسيشن, الضرائب. It has been already observed that the federal government ought to possess the power of providing for the support of the national forces. Right? بيقول إيه؟ بيقول إن federal government of America should possess the power of providing money, okay, for the national forces. In which proposition, like suggestion, was intended to be included the expense of raising troops, of building and equipping fleets, and all other expenses in any way connected with military arrangements and operations. So the federal government has to pay the expenses بتاعت الحاجات دي كلها. الtroops والfleet بتدفع فلوس الحاجات دي كلها. But these are not the only objects to which the jurisdiction of the union اللي هي legal right in respect to revenue, the non-essential, must necessarily be empowered to extend. يعني مش ده بس, يعني they have other responsibilities, they have to pay money. Federal government has responsibilities. طيب. It must embrace a provision for the support of the national civil list, for the payment, okay, for the payment of national debts contracted. كل دي الحاجات, things the federal government has to do. The payment for the national debts contracted or that may be contracted, and in general for all those matters which will call for disbursement out of the national treasury. كل دي payments. The conclusion is that there must be interwoven, يعني في link, in the frame of the government, a general power of taxation in one shape or another. So that's his claim. He's asking the conclusion, we must have a يعني في لازم عندنا law أو في we have to get this frame, and the government must have the power to take taxes from the people, one shape or another. حلوها مع بعض ولازم ناخد taxation من الناس. Money is, okay, بعدين في non-essential, considered as the vital, means important, principle of body politic. Money is important as that which sustains its life and motion and enables it to perform its most essential function. So money is essential. It gives the government life and motion, and it enables it to do anything it wants. A complete power, therefore, to procure, like get, a regular, adequate supply of it. We must have the power to get an enough supply of the money, as far as the resources of the community will permit, may be regarded as an indispensable ingredient in every constitution. this حاجة مقدرش نستغنى عنها. We have to. لازم يبقى في money. From a deficiency in this particular يعني ايه؟ يعني if we have a lack of money لو معناش money كويس one of the two evils must ensue. هيحصل two evils حاجة من الاثنين. ايه result بقى ensue؟ Either one the people must be subjected to continual plunder steal اما نسرق الناس as a substitute for a more eligible mode of supplying the public wants لأن the people في public wants. طب ال government هتجيب فلوس منين؟ So we have to plunder نسرق الناس. Or the government must sink into fatal atrophy like weakening. الحكومة تضعف جدا وتموت and in short course perish. So he's giving reason if we don't take taxation from the people what is the result؟ ده اللي هيحصل. طيب بدأ يجيب بقى ايه historical background. In the Ottoman or Turkish Empire في الخلافة العثمانية بقى okay the sovereign اللي هو الرولر ماله بقى شيل النون essential ده كله has no right to impose new tax في الأوتومان period. The consequence بقى result بتاع ان هو ده ايه is that he permits the basha or governors of the province to pillage the people without mercy. So يعني النتيجة بقى ان احنا we don't take taxation نعمل زي الأوتومان ايام العثمانيين ما كانوش بياخدوا ما قدروش يحطوا ضرايب كبيرة فكانوا بيستيل بيسرقوا الناس and in turn squeezes out of them the sums of which he stands in need to satisfy his own exigencies and those of the state. In America, from a similar cause, the government of the Union has gradually dwindled into a state of decay. الحكومة dwindled, shrink. هنروح nearly approaching annihilation. احنا هنتدمر without money, without taxes. Who can doubt? Who can doubt? The happiness of the people in both countries would be promoted by competent authorities in the proper hands to provide the revenues which the necessities of the public might require. Okay, the present confederation التي هي confederation. Okay, طبعا you know the difference between confederation and federation. Okay, 13 colonies. The present confederation, feeble, the non-essential, weak, ضعيف, as it is intended to repose in the United States, and unlimited power of providing for the pecuniary money, محتاجين money, wants for the people. But proceeding upon an erroneous principle, like هنكمل في incorrect principle ده, it has done in such a manner as to have entirely frustrated the intention. ما علينا. Congress, ماله بقى Congress, by the article like a law which compose the compact, ماله بقى, are authorized to ascertain and call for any sum of money necessary. So this is Congress can take any sum of money. That's a law. فبيقول لهم يلا نعمل taxes in their judgment to the service of the United States and their requisitions, if comfortable to the rule of apportionment, are in every constitutional sense obligatory upon the states. ده حاجة obligatory essential. طيب, these have no right to question the propriety of the demand, no discretion beyond that of devising the way and means of furnishing the sums demanded. احنا لازم نعمل means to take يعني نعمل بقى means will devise ways. We have to think of ways عشان to take the sum of money من people. But though this be strictly and truly the case, though the assumption of such right would be infringement of the articles of the Union, though it may seldom or never have been avowedly claimed, yet in practice it has been constantly exercised and would continue to be so as long as the revenues of the Confederacy should remain dependent on the intermediate agencies of its members. So we have to continue taking taxes from the people, even if مش موجود. What the consequences of this system have been is within the knowledge of every man, the least conversant of our public affairs, and has been amply unfolded in different parts of the inquiries. ما علينا. طيب, it is this which ايه بقى? has chiefly contributed to reducing us to a situation. ايه بقى موقفنا دلوقتي احنا ضعاف جدا, which affords ample cause, like enough cause both for mortification to ourselves, يعني احنا humiliate ourselves, احنا بنهين نفسنا واحنا كده, okay, and of triumphs of the enemies. Well, enemies are happy ان احنا we are shrinking, احنا عمالين نضعف. طيب, what remedy can there be for this situation? ايه الريميدي بقى, ايه الكيور, نتعالج ازاي من الموقف ده? But a change of the system, we conclude that, change the system which has produced it in a change of a fallacious, invalid and delusive system of quotas and requisition. That's it. فبالآخر كده, change the system, take taxes from the people. Okay. طيب, تعال نبص بقى على الكويستشنز كده بسرعه. Okay, the main idea, let's leave it till the end. The general question, leave it till the end. Okay, 34. Which of the following is the author's position in taxation? Question بالevidence. حلو جدا. إيه موقفه من taxation? Okay. A. The author argues. Okay, the author argues against taxation for the people. He's against taxation. أكيد he's with taxation. Eliminated. The author demands lower taxation on the wealthy. He didn't mention anything of lower taxation on the wealthy. أخذ فلوس أقل من الأغنياء. He didn't mention that. Eliminated من غير ما حل. The author states that taxation is only a recent phenomenon. The author believes taxation is integral part of the government. يعني it's an important part for the government. Let's see the evidence. تعال نبص على evidence مع بعض. Okay. عندي من 1 ل 4 بسرعة كده. طبعا احنا قرينا الحتة دي بيقول ايه؟ It has been already observed that the federal government ought to possess power of providing for the support of the national forces. لسه ما جابش فكرة التاكسيشن. Okay, 19 to 14. The conclusion is there must be an interwoven. Okay, there must be an interwoven. I think this is C. يعني كده نشوف C. Yes, 19 to 22. كان في. Okay. The conclusion is that there must be an interwoven in the frame of the government a general power of taxation in one shape. باينة جدا اهي. طب 9A. But these are not the only objects to which the jurisdiction of the union in respect to revenues. هنا كان بيتكلم على المتطلبات بتاعتنا من الجفرمنت تعمل ايه. طيب يبقى I think هي C. الconclusion there must be an interwoven. لازم يبقى في link frame جوه الجفرمنت power to take taxes from the people. يبقى that's his ايه ده رأيه. So in 34 I think it is the author believes taxation is an integral part. لما قال ايه woven link في link ما بين taxes والgovernment لازم نعملها دي. So this is D. For 35 I think this is C. Okay. For 36 بقى بيقول ايه vocabulary sustain bears comforts validate maintains. طيب بيقول ايه بقى فيها هنا في line 25. Let's see line 25. بسرعة بقى كده هنا sustain. So money is non-essential considered as a vital يعني important principle of the body politic as that which sustain its life and motion. Sustain هنا بمعنى ايه؟ keeps life and motion. طب keeps عايز كلمة بمعنى keeps هنا I think it's so easy maintained. Okay. 37. Which of the following is true about taxation in the United States? Question بevidence. حلو جدا. قال ايه بقى taxation? The government has the right to pillage يعني تسرق ناس. I think that's not an evidence خالص يعني that's not an answer. The government does not have the right to apply new taxes. I think ده هو بيقول عكس خالص. Okay. The government has the right to rest a rate of taxation according to what they deem best suits the needs of the country. هيحطوا حسب احتياجات الناس. Maybe. The government deals with many consequences when taxing people wrongly. طيب هنشوف قال ايه في 38 الايفيدنس بتاعنا. Okay, 41 ل 45. 41 ل 45. Okay. Okay. In the Ottoman or Turkish Empire, the sovereign اللي هو الايه الحاكم الruler, though in other respects absolute master of the lives of the fortunate of his subject, has no right to impose new taxes. طب انت تكلمني historical background على الأوتومان. بيقول لهم عايزين تعملوا زي الأوتومان اللي كان بيسرقوا الناس. طيب it's a no. طب 45 هنشوف كده نشوف من 45 بيقول ايه 45 ل 48. Okay, the consequences is that he permits the basha and governors of دي الحته اللي قلناها بيكمل على elaborating على الأوتومان. طيب 67 ل 72. Congress. Okay, body articles طبعا ده non-essential which compose that compact by the articles زي القوانين اللوز. الكونجرس باللوز بيعمل ايه بقى؟ are authorized to ascertain and call for any sum of money necessary in their judgment to the service of the United States. الكونجرس من حقه ان هو يجيب money. Yes. نشوف كده بقى اتقالت فين دي. Let's go back. Okay, so we are in question 38. 37 بص كده بيقول ايه؟ the government اللي هو الكونجرس has the right to rest a rate of taxation according to what they deem best suit the needs of the country. Yes. من حقنا نجمع فلوس. طب وماتشز مع مين في 38؟ it's C. خدنا C برضو و C. طيب throughout the passage the author never takes the opportunity to ايه الحاجة اللي ما عملهاش. Provide a definition, mention a limitation, give historical context, mention another point of view. طيب ايه اللي هو ما عملوش؟ The opportunity to ايه؟ Provide a definition. I think he didn't define anything. Mention a limitation. I think كان في limitation. احنا عندنا limitation so we need to عايزين taxes. طيب historical context. Yes, he mentioned الأوتومان. Mention another point of view. I think he mentioned that. So what he didn't do اللي هي provide a definition. Okay. For 40 vocabulary feeble. feeble معناها weak على فكرة. Ineffective, cowardly, decrepit. You know decrepit يعني حاجة أنت من كتر الاستعمال حصل لها worn out, broken, decrepit. Okay. Dim like dim light. حاجة not bright. طيب بيقول إيه في 60? Line 60. So here we go. Feeble. The present confederation. Feeble. That's a modifier. He's modifying the confederation. بيقول لك confederation feeble as it is intended to repose in the United States. يبقى confederation كانت إيه؟ ضعيفة. So which one is here? ممكن تنفع قصدها إيه؟ ضعيفة. ممكن ناخد مثلا decrepit من كتر الاستعمال. يعني إحنا استعملنا ال confederation. صعب. الكورد جبانة. dim أكيد إيه؟ ineffective. مش that effective. So it's not unproductive. This is what he meant here for this question. Okay. For 41, what reasoning does the author use in regards to the presence of taxation? طيب 41 قال ايه على taxation? Okay, the evils of taxation far outweigh the benefits. You know the word outweigh means more significant than the evils outweigh the benefits. I don't think so. Okay. Okay. For B, taxation is necessary component of keeping the government from collapsing entirely. I think he mentioned that. Imposing new taxes is against the law. No. هو قال إن الكونغرس في عنده law بيعمل ده. Taxation and stealing people money are parallel. Stealing money أكيد مش stealing money. I think that was mentioned. So definitely if we go back just هو قالها إن في line 31 just here لو بصينا كده مع بعض في line 31 قالها في كذا حتة. لما قال هنا إيه؟ From a deficiency يعني في deficiency في الماني one of two evils هيحصلوا. ايه هما two evils؟ okay, either the people must be subjected to continual plunder الناس هتتسرق. okay, or ايه بقى اهي or the government must sink into fatal atrophy and in short a perish, collapse. So definitely the answer for 41 is B. Okay, 42. What is the relationship between the final paragraph and the rest of the passage? طب فاكرين الفاينل paragraph؟ فاكرين أوله نرى أوله بس مالك. What remedy can there be for this situation but a change of the system which has produced in it a change of the fallacious and delusive system of quotas and a requisitions. هنا عمل إيه؟ Questions. Okay. وبعدين عمل إيه؟ عمل another question تاني تحت. بيقول إيه؟ إيه remedy? What is the remedy؟ إيه العلاج؟ He's asking what is the remedy from this situation اللي احنا فيه ده. What substitute مين ال substitution هنبدل ده بإيه؟ النظام ده بإيه؟ Can there be imagined for this ignis fatuous in finance but that of permitting the national government to raise its own revenue خلي الحكومة تجمع revenue by the ordinary method اللي هي taxes of taxation. بس عملها على هيئة إيه؟ questions. هو بيجمع أفكاره كلها بقى هنا إيه وحطها rhetorical question وبيسألها للأمريكانز. The final paragraph touches on ideas built up in the rest of the passage taxation through rhetorical questions. Okay, فكانت واضحة جدا. Okay, so definitely it's A. طيب, thank you so much. يعني I'm gonna stop here. هو إن شاء الله كده we still have one passage. إن شاء الله هنزل بيها فيديو. يعني كده الفيديو ده هيبقى طويل شوية في الابلودينج. فإن شاء الله the last one will be in a separate video. For more questions عندك سؤال عندك أي حاجة مش فاهمها please leave a comment. Okay, وإن شاء الله هرد عليكم. يا رب تكونوا استفدتوا. يعني I hope this is beneficial. Thank you so much. وبالتوفيق إن شاء الله. السلام عليكم.